Coming up on the Daily AI Show,
Common fails I think I've had with AI this year have been around
the 2024 hype cycle,
I had it all set up and nothing worked.
Google search result they came up with used non-toxic glue to keep cheese from sliding off pizza.
Advertise on other of pornographic sites,
and it does it more compute efficiently than any of those others.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is New Year's Eve 2024, and you're listening and watching the Daily AI Show live, which means we are coming to you live at 10 a.m. We do this every weekday. We do not take holidays off. We usually we always try to have two of us at least. It's gotten close a few times, but we always have at least two people to do the show and come live and join all our wonderful people who join us live and show up in the YouTube and LinkedIn comments. So, here's what we got going on today. First of all, let me tell you who we have. We have Beth, Jyunmi, Karl, Andy, and I'm Brian. And I think even Eran said he might be able to make it. So we'll see if he pops in the door for Perth, Australia. He is a good, solid other half of the day away from us. So he's actually getting very, very close to New Year's Day, as a matter of fact, where he is. So he's only a few hours short of the new year. So here's what we got going on today. Today's kind of a fun show, and I think, Beth, maybe I'm going to let you do the intro here, but here's the gist of it. It's a daily AI show, Scavenger Hunt. We're going to be doing, as we have been a little bit this week, looking back into 2024, but instead of doing like what our predictions were or 2025 predictions, it's more about the funny, the fails, the face palms, the flexes, the different things that happened in 2024 that sort of pique our mind, and not just the public stuff. It's also like the stuff that we were working on individually, or maybe with the show that we think are interesting stories along the way. So I don't know, did I do a good enough job there, Beth? Do you want to add anything to that? Hey, we do have Eran. I was just saying, Eran's almost New Year's for you. We're really close where you are, right?
It's 57 minutes to go.
There you go. We'll just stay live and do the New Year with you. Let's do it. If we went over an hour yesterday, we could do it again.
And you guys all look rugged up and trying to keep warm from the cold over there. It's bloody hot here.
So yeah, well, it's still warm here. I'm in Tampa, and I tell people that a lot. So it's like it's t-shirt weather here. I could be in shorts today. It drops tomorrow, so the new year starts with a 15-20 degree drop, which for us means this won't mean anything to you, Eran, but for everybody else doing Fahrenheit, it'll drop into like the low 60s tomorrow. So everybody's got to get ready in Tampa. I'm not sure what the Celsius equivalent is of that. Anyway, welcome, Eran. Look, we got the whole crew to end the year on. This is fantastic. Got all six of us. Fantastic. Okay, I was just about to say sorry, Beth, but I saw Eran pop on. Beth, did I do a good enough job with that intro? Would you like to add anything else to it?
You did a great job. These, I just want to be clear, these can be personal stories, personal funny things, personal fails. They can be public. So we are talking about 5 categories, and we'd love it if you pop yours in the chat as well. Funny stories, fail stories, face palm, right? Like personal disasters or public meltdowns. There were a couple of those that also are kind of funny. Flexes, if there was a flex, if you had a flex, or if we had a flex, and future shock. Was there something that made everybody go like, whoa?
Well, I know everybody likes a good fail story, and so I will share a personal fail if you guys are cool with that, because I think sometimes we all grow by learning what's not going right, right? It's my favorite stuff that goes on LinkedIn, and by the way, it's a lot of people's favorite stuff on LinkedIn a lot of times, are the stories of actual failure. One of my biggest stories on LinkedIn, as far as posts go, was the same day I got fired from my previous job. It was a normal day, and then I was fired 2 hours later, and I didn't see it coming, and I still to this day don't know why. And I immediately put that on LinkedIn because I was like, this is what's going on right now. This is several years ago. That's not my AI fail. My AI fail, though, and why I think this stuff is valuable is as you guys know, but I'll remind the audience that I create a lot of custom GPTs. I work for a company called Scale Consulting. As part of that consulting company, I'm the AI strategist. So I'm always dealing with sales teams, and I create custom GPTs for them. But we also sell them as a subscription service. So I have a suite of about 10 different custom GPTs that people subscribe to, and we have lots of people who do that. I also customize custom GPTs for companies. This is where the fail comes in. I created this. I had started with the nexus, the incubator of the less customized, and then customized towards this client. But as we were having conversations with this client, it definitely started moving away. And as I was building, I was like, wow, this is the most, I was proud of it. This is the most complex custom GPT I'd ever built. Well, as you would in a sandbox, I was building this on my side, meaning in the scaled account, and everything was running seamlessly and everything else. Well, cut to the short to where the fail is. It was deployable, and I tell the client it was due on a certain day, and all we did was copy and paste the exact custom GPT over into their team's account, and it just would crash and it would fail. And this was the start of probably, I would say, a 7 to 10 day period where I felt like the biggest failure. I really felt like I don't have it. Maybe I never had it when it came to AI. I can't do prompting. I cannot figure this out. I literally couldn't figure out how you could take the exact same instructions that were working perfectly in one instance, move them to a client who had done nothing wrong other than stand up another instance, and it just was failing. And this is really the biggest realization that came from this. By the way, the end story of that is we did finally get to a workable solution. But when I tell you, I uncovered every rock. I picked up every new thing. I asked you guys outside, on the Slack channels, like, look at this. What am I doing? What is wrong here? I changed the prompting. I changed it again. I went to Claude. I did everything to try to make this work because I could not figure out what. Well, we did finally do it. But what it was a good reminder of, and this is just a 2024 and I'll shut up, is that AI is different. It's not deploying code. It just isn't. And one of the hardest things to do as a consultant is talk to clients and start with the expectation that despite the consultant, working with them, doing everything right, there's always a possibility that some of their employees are going to get a poor experience. And it might be because they're using it in their own ChatGPT instance, because memory is turned on, because it's adapted the way that they want answers back. And a custom GPT can only be as customized as personalized to the user. It's a very tricky, difficult thing to do. And as Karl was saying this yesterday as a prediction, as we move into having more AI consultants and this being more thing, or people hiring internally for this, it's definitely a conversation that's going to be had. And not that I'm looking for another job, but if I was going to go work for another company, I absolutely would have to make sure I was working with management that understood that even if I was just deploying things internally in AI, that there's always a chance that it's just not going to be the same for everybody. And it's one of those tricky things with AI where you can't say, here's the code and it will be identical for everybody. And I'm wrong if it's not. This is not the way AI works. So it was a really tough learning lesson. It was tough because it was a client. It was tough because it was deliverables. I couldn't give them the same experience. And I also couldn't explain why. And I'm supposed to be the expert in the room. I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer for my side of the company. I didn't have an answer for the client. And it frankly sucked. And it was a long 7 days or whatever. And we got to a good point. But when I tell you, I thought I had lost all the mojo when it came to AI prompting, I legit mean it. So that's my story of fail, just to sort of start it off. But that one sticks out for me in 2024 for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. But
Awesome kickoff for this. Well, and it's awesome. Like, these are epic stories, right? So part of the epicness of this story is the constant reminder that even though we are doing something on computer that seems to function like software, it isn't software, right? So, and that's one of the things that I think we always have to do.
keyword is predictive, right? Beth, you always say it. It's predicting the next answer. And as soon as you put the word predicting in, all bets are off. It just may not do what you want.
Yeah, the next answer isn't always the most predictable. Next answer is not always the right answer or the functional answer, right?
Right.
Okay, so I had a very public fail with all of you. That was Brian's fix. Actually, that was one of the Fs that didn't make the cut in the scavenger thing. If any of you remember the very exciting demo that we did when about using Claude to create prompts.
Yeah.
And I had it all set up and nothing worked, right? So like it was like a comedy of errors demo, and that was just a couple weeks ago. So that was probably my super epic fail for the Daily AI show, but also I hope a little bit funny.
The gremlins were at play that day for sure. Yeah. They were mischievous and they were at play. Yeah, that was. What did you say? I'm just gonna punt. You made me laugh, Beth, on that shit.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna punt. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna punt.
you just said I'm gonna punt. I just love that answer. Like, I can't fix this. We're all going down. I'm just gonna punt. No, and it made me laugh, and we got through it. But yeah, that was, it's the way it goes, right, with a live show.
And I'm gonna pop to somebody else, but I will also say that in prepping for the show, I don't know. Everybody else go to Perplexity and ask this question. When I was asking Perplexity to make sure that the stories that I was finding were from 2024, it thinks it's 2023. So the first time that I asked it, it gave me like, okay, so I can't give you 2024 stories because 2024 hasn't happened yet because we're in 2023. But I did also double check all of these stories to verify that they're all published in 2024, which is a problem because it's December 2023.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, way to bring one to the party, Perplexity. Thanks so much.
You're on mute, Andy. I can see you moving, but I can't hear you. Yeah,
No.
nope. Still can't hear you.
Yeah,
We can guess. We can guess what Andy's saying, and like we can mime or something like that. Karl, Jyunmi, Eran. I know, Eran, you said you had one. I didn't read it, but I see it here in our Slack channel. You said this is.
No, I'm going to change it. I will mention that briefly, but I thought about another one that happened to me personally. So, probably most of the most common fails I think I've had with AI this year have been around AI video cloning with HeyGen. So, and I remember one in particular where they've introduced this new feature, which I was really excited about. And the idea was you could walk for about a 3-minute training video and then create a clone out of it. So I got my phone out and stuck it on a handheld selfie stick and walked up the end of the driveway, around the corner, and then back in, put the video into HeyGen, gave it, I think it's quite a while to transfer and use it. And then when you actually watch the video, and I remember I uploaded a copy to you guys, you probably remember when I mentioned this, you see me walking up to the front of the road and around the corner, and then I start walking backwards while I'm talking. So that was a really bad fail for me, and that was one of many that I had while experimenting and trying to work out what works.
Yeah,
and what doesn't work.
And also, listen, the thing with AI, especially when it comes to video, is it can be costly, both in time and in money, to see some of these fails, especially, Eran, when you're doing stuff on the marketing side and you work with so many people on and helping them with AI and marketing and stuff. It's like, these are livelihoods, these are jobs and stuff. And yes, you're always for like, trying to put a good product. I was trying to do with the custom GPTs and stuff like that. And then you get something, and now in this case, you weren't trying to give it to a client. But yeah, all of a sudden, halfway through the video, I remember you sharing it, and you're like, "Anybody notice anything weird?" And you just, Humpty just starts going backwards. What is going on in the algorithm to do that?
Yeah, and I haven't even made a new one since then, just in case it did it again. So, the fail I put up was not for me, but it was I found this story on Northwestern University's website, and they're just talking around when was it? Hang on a minute. The date is August 7, and it's talking about how Mr. Musk and his Grok AI are basically pumping out a lot of mistruths and doing some fairly dodgy stuff, because Elon Musk, who I admittedly am not a fan of, but that's another story, doesn't believe in putting guardrails around things. I think he's quite happy to just, I think you get the feeling he's a throw mud against the wall and see what sticks kind of guy. The problem is that when you start playing with something that could potentially, nobody wants to think Terminator stuff, but who knows what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years. And so that to me is a big fail. that he's basically letting this product go out there and potentially causing some significant effects eventually.
Yeah, I read in we won't get into the politics of it, but I just read when somebody were talking to like the most impactful, influential people, blah blah, and AI, and the most potential damaging. Trump and Elon Musk were two names that are brought up, and wherever you fall on side of the politics, I'm not getting into that. But everybody would have to admit in 2025 and maybe beyond 2025, those are two pretty big names that could have some major impacts on all of our careers, based on what they do or don't decide to let go, whether there's more that's going to stick or not going to stick or whatever. So I don't know where that would fit. Future shock, maybe that's some future shock bet. It falls into that category of, it's kind of like a wait and see type of thing. All right, let's get into some of these.
I did when Beth first started talking about this. I did say to I want to talk about Sam Altman's firing episode, and she kindly reminded me, no, that was 2023, and I went, there was my face palm moment. But that was still probably since I started doing AI, that's still probably my favorite memory of the whole thing. That was just like watching one of those housewife shows with the reality TV shows where it's just like, couldn't get any more crazier, but every day it gets worse.
Yeah, for like 5 days there, it was like super, crazy and also super fun to watch or whatever. Okay, let's get into some of the other ones. We've definitely talked about some fails. I mean, by all means, share your fails if you had more, but I don't know. Let's look at funny. I mean, does anybody have any like sort of funny stories, whether personal AI moments or just funny from the 2024 year? I mean, the one that comes up to me, I will tell you right away, is Google search result that came up with use non-toxic glue to keep cheese from sliding off pizza. And Google was like, and it was somebody that had just made a meme or something and it just read it wrong. I mean, it just pulled in the wrong information. It wasn't that Google made it up. It did cite it. It was just that it was the wrong thing. And Google, again, face palm for Google because they've had a few of those, and people kind of laughed at it, but also said, "Look, see, this is why you can't trust AI." And But funny, but also like a good reminder that this stuff is all very, very new, and even Google, even Claude, even Anthropic, and all the other ones are not immune, with all their billions of dollars, are not immune from AI predicting that it wants to bring in this answer. And it's a very, very tricky problem. I don't envy people who are trying to solve for this, because it's like, how do you take the whole internet, take AI, and decide what's relevant for that specific answer? And in this particular case, it decided to tell you to use non-toxic glue for your pizza. So funny, worrisome. Google had some explaining to do. Was 2024 also the one where Google had, or is this 23, where Google did the thing with image generation, and it was like making Native American sketchy stuff, right? It was like, it was making like people from history, black or white or Native American or right. I'm probably saying it wrong. Was that 2024, Beth? Do you know?
I think it was 2024, and the most notable one was the trying to be inclusive and representative, right, in their images, but also the Native Americans and the I don't know, military were not like hand in hand walking down the street,
Right.
whatever that iconic image was. The other so that was Google's image generation. What you were talking about before was Google's AI overview, which we had been using like for months and not having any issue, but they didn't test it properly, apparently. And the other thing with that was the AI overview telling people to eat rocks to get the minerals, right? You could just eat rocks, or if you really want to be healthy, you should really work out 8 days a week.
Right.
And you're just like, okay.
Yeah. I blame the Beatles for that. I had the Beatles 8 days a week. It cited the song and said, bring that in. That's a validated source. Yeah, it's like all of that, right? I mean, it's absurd, right? Because we're like, that's an absurd answer, or whatever. But it really just does go to the complexity, the potential of AI, and also the sheer complexity of trying to put guardrails and have AI work with humans who are highly unpredictable, and we all say things different ways, and there's 20 or 30 different ways to ask the same piece of information on Google, and that's just in English. Then you get into other languages and cultural norms and stuff like that, and then to say, okay, AI, get this right all the time. And so I think Grok had issues this year where it was pulling in stuff from Twitter, but people were making jokes, or there was I think an NBA player who had made a joke and it pulled that in as fact because it didn't understand the subcontext or the joke. It pulled it in as literal. And this is going to continue to happen. I don't know that there is a solution to this. Maybe it's something beyond Transformers. I'm not sure. Or it's a multi-agent, multimodal, a mixture of experts type solution where it's going to be having to fact check from 4 different angles in order to try its best. I'm not sure. We can get, that's a different show probably, but
right. They are language models, and humor in language is one of the hardest things to get when you're becoming fluent in a language.
I mean, we've all sent that text message that was hilarious to us, and it does not land. It's the same way you go, you know what? That was hilarious on my side, but your timing offended you.
And let's be honest, ChatGPT is not very good at telling jokes or making funny comments.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It has a very like 5-year-old or, best dad jokes ever type level of humor and understanding, but it doesn't do, well, there is some that were trained on sarcasm, and those were pretty funny. I don't know if that was 2024, but anyway, I do love the sarcastic ones because it makes me feel like I'm talking to my family and stuff like that. So it makes me feel at home. Okay, let's get into some other ones. We haven't heard from Karl or Jyunmi, or I know Andy, you're trying on your side. Andy's with us, by the way, but his audio is giving him issues. So that could be a Talk Studio fail, or it might be on Andy's. We're still working out the gremlins on our side as far as this podcast platform. More to come on that in 2024. We'll see how many face palms we can do with our platform. But Karl or Jyunmi, I'd love to hear, any of these funny fail, facepalm, flex, future shock, any of those. You got any stories?
Okay, go ahead, Jyunmi.
Okay, well, really quick. I don't know if this is in the fail or funny or facepalm. A little bit of both, really, but or all is the 2024 hype cycle of AI just got way even larger than it was in 2023, right? So many promises over the last 2 years, and people just spouting off, oh, and this is going to be the greatest thing, and this is the next killer thing, and it got to a point to now. I think it's reached, it's crested over the hill, and now it's not giving the return, right? Except for the OpenAI 12 days, overall, I don't think any of the hype that's been done or talked about has really triggered oh wow, this is awesome. Take Sora, for example. Sora, while doing the whole event for the OpenAI 12 days, that's a great announcement. But for me, it was great less because, hey, they were releasing this product, and more like they finally released this product.
Yeah, it was February, right?
Great. So it was like months and months and months. And I think we had a rolling, tally going up to like 300 something days or whatever. And so when it came out, I was like, yes, finally. Not, yes, these are great features, but Sora is finally out that I can use it. So I think overall, just the hype cycle is just like, hey, you guys got to turn it down. I mean, you don't have to be as shadow release as Mistral is, but you can at least do tone it back a little more. Don't worry, you have plenty of stuff, and you're going really, really quickly. Let's pull the brakes on the hype cycle a little bit, so that I'm more excited about what you have released as opposed to the fact that you just released it.
It's the tech world, Jamie. Though the US tech market has always done the hype cycle. Cynical though I am, I was
Just a little less. That's all I'm asking for.
Karl, why don't you go ahead with one of yours, and then we have a few from Eric and Gwen and Justin that are pretty funny or poignant in the chat. I want to bring those in as well. So, but Karl, you go first. What do you have any stories here?
I do, and it's a kind of like a prospect meeting, but I just want to double check. Do we have to be kid friendly on this?
We are monetized on YouTube, so you, as our most YouTube expert, I think the answer is yes.
Okay. How can I put this? Okay, so we had a meeting with a adult entertainment company, and what they were wanting to do is obviously use AI for, we showed them a whole bunch of different things, automations, assistants, and so on. So one of the things they requested is, hey, we wanted to do we do regular research on other adult themed entertainment companies. But to do that research, what kind of keywords do you think they're going to be putting in?
Right.
And I was like, I don't think any of the large language models allow any of that, any of those words at all. And that's why this is the first time we had to actually recommend you may want to go with the Chinese model. Just open source it, just do whatever. I'm not sure Llama even does that. And we're talking like very, very explicit words on multiple different things. So like, okay. And then we talked about video generation. And then we talked about OnlyFans. And then we talked about, hey, so this was the funniest thing out of everything. It's like, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 people in the room, 6 to 8 people in the room. And then the head dude, the president guy, was like, I don't know what his title was. Not the president guy, the guy beside him turns to the president. Can you make a video generation of him taking his clothes off? And everyone was like a pause in the room, like, and then I was kind of laughing. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, right now, if we film him and then he takes his clothes off right now, and then could we like superimpose that? Or can we just film him and then AI would just have him take his clothes off? And I was like, oh, and then he was totally into it. He was like, oh yeah. I'm not sure why anyone would want me, but I just wanted to know. And I think we all knew where that was going. And I was like, I don't think any of the models, the ones that you can pay for, would do that. But again, we'd have to probably go with like a Chinese model to be able to do this. And so it was just, and then it started going to like, okay, could we make an OnlyFans of just that? And we're like, wow, I've never tried that before. Like, because I've known people who've made OnlyFans with just AI characters, and they're actually doing well from it. And they actually don't make that character do like, there's no nudity. Very provocative, but no nudity, and no video too. It's just essentially that person's catfishing everybody. It's like, you're doing that? I was like, yep. And you won't believe how many people pay for this. Like, I believe it. So they were like, well, let's take that to the next level. So it's like one after the other. I was like, interesting. So, but the lesson I got out of it is, regardless of what company, there's a lot of automations that you can still do that people still need. It doesn't matter what kind of business, right? Because they still have the regular work process. Even though they're in that adult space, it's still boring, right? There's still things that they do, payroll, expenses, all that kind of stuff. They still do it. But just in an interesting way. And then you're like, how do I figure out a solution for this particular industry? Because all the models are like guardrailed, like, but I'm like, but this is a legitimate business. So it's like, they will have a tougher time leveraging AI. And that's what I think too. If you think about it, the adult entertainment industry itself and all these, so this is an event management company. So they put on events like trade shows and stuff. But any of those legit businesses in are like, how would they leverage AI? And just got me thinking like, and then it got me thinking, wait a minute, is that a completely untapped market? It has to be. It has to be, because most of these companies aren't even thinking about that market. But if you think about it, that market is one of, if not the most lucrative businesses online, period. So how would you cater to that market?
I mean, we know this. Like, look, a lot of technology. You can go back and probably back through and say it originated or was perfected in the adult industry level or military. There's a lot of technology that falls into those two categories because they're usually pioneers. And to your point, Karl, they probably usually have to find really innovative, out of the box ways of making sure that they can do it. They can't be on social media. They can't. Okay, how are you? What does advertising look like? And I think what makes me laugh is that initially you get hired by this company to be an SEO expert or something like that. But initially it's shocking. And I would imagine by, day 30 or something like that, you're just doing your job. And these are just the words you're having very honest, serious conversations about. And some of the words that are coming out, probably like a doctor who's done 100 births. After a while, the shock and awe is gone, and you're just having a job. You're just a person with a job, and it just happens to be these words, and it's like, it's interesting. It's like, yeah, there's people that are in these types of roles that are using AI all the time, and they're like, how are we going to get a solution for this?
Well, so here's the funny, like, and I was talking with the agency who actually runs their paid media, and we were talking about how, like, for some advertising for certain sites, you can do, like, they're clean, so you can use all the socials, but then for the more provocative ones, the one with a lot of nudity and so on, you'll have to you can use Google's display network, by the way, but only targeted to, because you're not gonna promote like pornographic sites on non-pornographic sites.
Right.
It doesn't well, it does, but they won't allow you, right? It won't make sense. But so that's how they do it. They advertise on other of pornographic sites. So essentially what they're doing is just like, okay, for social we have to do this, but for everything else we have to do this. And it's very interesting. And like, like you said, after 30 days, it was like, they said the first couple of weeks, it was hilarious because all the ads that were coming in, this is crazy. But then eventually it's like, oh, it's another ad. I got to run this on these five things. It's really fun out. And then my feeling is like, can I see some of these ads? Oh yeah, sure. And there's like folders upon folders of them. And I was like, holy cow. It's like, oh yeah. And just like any paid media company, they have segmented it into this category.
Yeah.
Here's the target audience. Here's what we're trying to do. And then it's funny, like, can I see the call to actions? It's like, these call to actions are way better than some of the private businesses. Like, they really dialed this in. It's like, these are fantastic call to actions. Like, the ads are, like, they're well put together if you look at it from a, like this industry is like, they've got it bang on. I'm like, these guys could make a killing in private business. He's like, no, they're making a killing now. Why would they even go there? I'm like, that's right. Like, so anyway, it's just a small little look into that whole market, and it was kind of neat.
That is really cool. That's a good story. It's the things you don't think of, right, that are happening in the AI space. And here you are in a room of 8 people having serious conversations about it, and what can it do, and where are the guardrails and all that. So, Eric brought up, so I want to pull a couple quick ones from the comments. Excuse me. Eric said, one of the funniest things I saw this year was someone deployed AI cold calling bot, and the prospect asked it, can you create a Python script? And then it started to speak the code, which I think would be pretty funny if I saw that happen. Like, like it just started trying to literally say the code on there. So yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Gwen said, and I actually pulled this up earlier because I was curious what CalAIM is, but Gwen said, what I consider a fail was creating GPT for CalAIM, a huge healthcare project for California that I thought would really take off and pull some of my friends into the AI world. No such luck. So I was actually just looking to see what that is. And it says CalAIM is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to improve care and outcomes for millions of Medi-Cal enrollees. It's also complicated given its incredible scope and reach of the fragmented system that it strives to improve. Over the span of 5 years, CalAIM will introduce a myriad of new programs that make important important reforms to many existing programs, and then it goes on. This is directly from the SAGE-CF org site, the California Healthcare Foundation org, which talks about Cali. Just wanted to bring that up because so there was more context to it. But yeah, I'm with you, Gwen. I've definitely had a few like, oh, this is going to get people bought in, and it doesn't. It doesn't hit the way I think. I'm like, I've had a few of those. I'd have to really think, but I've definitely had a few of those, either with friends or family. I just went up to Georgia for a few days around Christmas. And I was telling people what I do. They're friends of mine. I've been friends of mine for 20 plus years. And they're like, oh, you're in AI. And once you get past like, oh, I use the, AI to make a funny photo or whatever they're doing in their life or whatever. And then, I'm always like, I'll say something and then my friend will respond and I'll go, okay, this is their understanding of it. This is as far as I can take the conversation. But then I had one friend, again, I've known her for years and years and years. And I said something and she said something back. You get those clue words and you're like if they said rag or something like that, if they just used rag in a conversation, you're like, we're talking the same now, right? You just said rag. Who's going to say rag unless they kind of know what that is or why it would be relevant or whatever. And so it was interesting to have these conversations, as I'm sure you guys do, and I'm guess Gwen too, where you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna definitely pull them into the AI space because they're gonna care about this. And then for one reason or another, or maybe it doesn't hit the way, or somebody big uses it first and it doesn't give them the perfect answer right off the bat because maybe their question sucked. But then everybody else just says, oh, well, if it didn't work for them, it's probably not going to work for me. And it never launches. It never gets there. And that's a shame, So I don't know more about Cal-Aim, but definitely. Justin brought up one that I'd forgotten about, but it definitely was funny. Remember the $1 truck sold by a company's LLM? I think it was like Chevy or something. They legit said no takebacks and everything you say is legally binding. And the LLM said, absolutely. Yeah, that is a great use case of AI is great. It can be externally forward facing to your clients, but you better be careful about where the guardrails are and what you're using it for. And every company is going to deal with this. Every company is going to deal with this over the next several years. Definitely the ones that already have chatbots, but even the companies that want to implement that on their site and maybe have you be able to, like Karl's talked about, having them talk about whatever it is and ask questions to the website. Every time you deploy a system like that, you're always taking a chance that it might predict a different answer than you would have liked for your company to be saying out to your consumers or your potential clients. So that was a funny one, but also a good wake up call. I didn't scroll down my blush just right. So okay, these are all about what Karl was just talking about.
We haven't heard from Jyunmi or Andy. Jyunmi, you were about to do one when Karl was talking. No?
Jyunmi talked before.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, before Karl. But yeah, Andy,
Can you hear me?
But yes, we can.
Right. Okay. So I want to say that I really want to jump in and provide something that's funny and entertaining, but I find AI fun, but I haven't found anything funny about it. I'm sure there are comedic, things about that it can be done with AI, just as there can be adult things done with AI that I had never thought about. So, Karl, I really enjoyed and laughed at some of the things that you were bringing forward there. But let me share a big fail. I've shared this with our team here internally, but I'll share it with you. I've been working in November and December using Replit, which is one of the latest and greatest coding platforms, which is a multi-agent platform that literally does the coding of an application for you. And over those, so let's say first 6 weeks, I painstakingly assembled a fully featured guided learning application. And then wanting to just make a small improvement to change the logging of actions in the console, which has nothing to do with the actual application. It's just so that you can see what's happening as the program runs. That completely imploded the app, rendering it totally unrecoverable by the agent. And so I was completely stuck. And then the reason this happened is when it happened, I attempted a rollback where you can just kind of go through your history of changes in the development of the application. You can say, here's a rollback point. and there's a button built into Replit where it says roll back to here. And so I clicked that button and nothing changed. It didn't fix it. And so I went through a swirl, and ultimately, after literally weeks of trying to figure out how to correct this problem, the agent then said, "Oh, now looking at the history, I understand what happened. Instead of rolling back, I attempted to recreate the roots and chat functionality from memory, which resulted in a mixed implementation that isn't fully compatible with any version we have." So, wow, after all of that work to have that happen, that's a major fail. I've only very recently, literally yesterday, gotten a response from Replit support saying that when they have time, they will be able to try to help me restore back to an earlier point in the development of the application. But that was a major, oh my God, after so much work, to have the agent do that. And this is again a reflection of, I think, something that Brian was mentioning, which is you can't trust the full reliability of assistants or agents in AI. They are going to fail in certain ways. And so patience is a virtue here. And that's one of the ways that, I kind of learned the hard lesson that, yeah, there's some overhead that has to be done in order to back up and or use different methods than the agent itself to, kind of create a path that's recoverable. But anyway, caution is advised.
Well, I will say this on that real quick, Andy, and because you shared the email, and I didn't know if you were going to mention the company, so I wasn't going to say it, but you said Replit. So what I got from that, Andy, not only is this disheartening to see this happen because of all the effort, and I do hope it's all resolved eventually, because you just put just so much time into this project, and it's truly amazing. What shocked me was more of a facepalm, and I think this is a learning lesson for any company. If you're deploying something in AI where basically you need your engineers to be your customer service, like in other words, it's a technical enough AI solution, not just Replit, any of them, where you need to rely on your smartest lot to be able to answer basic questions because you haven't built out a repository or library of how-tos and all that kind of stuff. Like, you need to think about how you're answering to clients, because what really shocked me from that, Andy, was their answer, which the wording in there was, paraphrasing, they're really busy, so we're gonna send your problem, your minor problem. I mean, it's a massive thing. It failed to somebody, but they're also really busy. And my take on that is like, hey, Replit, hey, Bolt, hey, any of you who are creating these amazing future projects that you want people to take seriously and build new applications on, just like you were, Andy, you better figure out how to do your customer service to a level, or you need to hire or do whatever you need to do to ensure that you have the expertise ready and waiting on hand to fix these problems. Because what I see is a huge bottleneck of, we've got these really smart people who are building this really cool thing that allows you to not have to code, but also if it fails, there are a few select people who are capable enough to actually go in and fix these one-off problems. And there's a bottleneck there, and it really, really ends up making the company look bad. And what I think it does is it makes the company not look professional. So that's my take.
You make a good point. Yeah, but my sort of my charitable view of it is that this company has been slammed by thousands and hundreds of thousands of people using their platform to build things like I'm building, many of whom, like me, don't really have the skills to, correct the code myself or figure out how to untangle a serious tangle like this. And so I do have a dependence on those engineers, but this all happened during the holiday period, right? So we're talking about the period with Thanksgiving in it and Christmas and New Year's. And so they are probably ramping rapidly with the number of support engineers that can support people like me. But I'm going to have to be patient and wait a little bit.
I guess you're much more charitable than I am, Andy. The only thing I would say to that is the wording in the emails back to in your use case. should talk about the things they're putting in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and the apologies for the fact that it's happening to you at all. And that's not the way the wording was done. I thought, wow, this looks like a very adolescent company trying to figure out how to act like a very professional company. That was just my impression of it. So I hope they get it fixed. I hope they get your thing fixed. I hope this is a learning lesson for them internally, and they are rapidly trying to figure out how they're going to help everybody with this. But man, that was just yesterday, and you shared it, and I thought, wow, that's really disappointing. So that's a facepalm for me, because their response wasn't good enough. What are you going to say, Jyunmi, to that?
Yeah, Brian, I like I said, I'm 100% with you. And I think also because of how new AI is and everyone is trying everything, right? No one is dying the wool users of one or another. Everything changes so quickly. They want to try everything out. What it means is in the customer service realm, experience with AI is collective. So for example, Beth can back me up on this one. Respell had a huge fiasco when they switched from version 1 to version 2. They just completely, from my point of view, they handled it wrong.
Yeah.
They did it completely wrong. And that experience is now tied in my mind as that's an AI experience. Now I'm going to go to Replit, and then I'm going to get that same kind of reaction. That's just going to be compounded. It's not necessarily their fault that I had a bad experience with Respell, but I'm trying every single AI tool.
Right.
Everybody's trying every single AI tool.
Yeah.
So any bad experience they have with a company, a part of that's going to come with them to the experience for the next one, especially if it's the same kind of solution or the same kind of tool. So I'm with you 100%. That customer, the vast majority of the customers, because nobody knows what AI is or what it's going to be useful to them, you're going to get the whole demographic of how technical or less technical,
Yeah.
and each one's going to have its own, its own baggage. So I don't know if it's a warning or of a realization or something, but yeah, you got to pay attention to that.
And when you hear Andy, or I'd say any of us, our people listening to us right now, or in the chat or whatever, all of us, all of our audience and stuff, I would say for that, we're probably already way more forgiving than the typical person that's just going to try to use AI for a solution, because we're so involved in it. We know what it takes. Like I talked about my fails. I was lucky. I had people who were forgiving about it, and understood what I was trying to do. That's not always the case. And so it is a warning shot to say, hey, there's all these amazing AI things that are going to kind of happen in 2025. I mean, for sure, we're sure of it. But it's also a warning shot to say, hey, if you're going to put this out there, ensure that you have the ability to help people through this, whatever your deployment is or whatever. And you're right, like a respell problem it can impact your opinion of a Replit thing. And even though one company didn't have anything to do with the other, this is what everybody is experiencing. And, if you have somebody that you truly trust and they say, it's not there, ChatGPT sucks, it did this to me, that could wipe out who knows how many people ever really truly giving it a test or a try, to see if it works for them. And, this is all gonna, yes, we're seeing adoption rates go up, of course, but this is going to be, big boy problems, big girl problems, going into the future as more SME enterprise level companies go, hey, is Copilot the right solution? Is Gemini the right solution for us? Because this is still happening. Future, you guys, I'm curious. One I don't think we've done is a future shock, which in Beth put in here as mind-blowing AI capabilities that appeared in 2024. I would say for me, just happened because Sora came out, and then I was like, well, it's Sora, but it wasn't. It because of things that had happened since they had announced Sora in February to when Sora was publicly available, wasn't impressive. Right after that, I think it was the same week, I got early access to Google's video effects, right? And it's like VO2 or whatever is the model on it. That blew me away. And I'm waiting for AI video production to happen. But when you look at the way they take shadows in buildings, and as people are passing by things and you watch shadows or multiple people or a person and a bird, and the shadows, you look at the ground and the shadows are look correct, at least to my naked eye and untrained eye. They look correct, and you go, wow, that's an AI model figuring out all the 3D complexities of angles and light sources, and that just kind of blew me away. And this is somebody who fully expected this to happen. And so, like, but even still, when I saw it, and I played around early with video effects from Google, it's still in like a beta right now. That's going to come out publicly here very soon. I think a lot of people, as soon as it hits the general open market and everybody can play with it, people are going to be like, this is the standard for video production. I truly, it's like 8-second videos, I think, is what it'll create. They're mind-blowing. But I've watched Kling, I've watched all the other ones. I literally think Google has the best video, AI video, text to video or image to video producer on the market. I certainly haven't seen anything better. So that's a for me.
I have another future shock thing that it also serves as a promo for tomorrow's show, because Beth put this into tomorrow's show as a clear thing that we need to discuss. And that is, think about the context of the release by OpenAI of O3, and the promise that sometime in 2025, O3, this advanced reasoning model that's arguably AGI, is going to be available. But it was also announced simultaneous with a $2,000 a month charge to do that. Why? Because it's very expensive to build a thing like O3. Well, out of the blue, a Chinese company, DeepSeek, delivered a thing called V3. It's a mixture of experts model that took only $5 million, which is pennies compared to O3, to train, and is already number 7 on the LM arena, just behind Gemini, ChatGPT, and O1. And it does it more compute efficiently than any of those others. It does it with a new skill, determining which subset of the billions of parameters in the model are needed to receive the tokens, and simultaneously predicting 2 tokens at a time instead of just 1. And it's beating the previous generation of models with a $5 million build cost. And it costs way less to do inference. That gives me this, wow, we didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming. And it changes the game in a big way compared to the delivery of, hundreds of thousands of GPUs in a massive data center for training that, like Elon Musk is chasing and all of the other players are chasing. And this is a Chinese company restricted on the availability of GPUs by our sanctions. It's built something that competes at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
That's future shock.
That is future shock. I agree. I want to do a quick time check here with Eran, because Eran, I can see, if I look at the clock, that we're like 7 minutes from your New Year's, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
Count down with Eran?
Obviously, Eran might want to go spend it with his family. I don't want to. Eran wants to be live with us.
My family is asleep.
Oh my goodness. You're cool. If everybody else
Count down with you.
go 6 more minutes and just, celebrate the New Year with you. I think that'd be super fun for everybody if you're cool with it.
Sounds good. Hey guys,
Any champagne or
can I jump in with a quick one I just thought of while you guys were talking?
Yeah.
So this happened on Christmas Day. It was very funny. So it was Michelle, myself, her brother and sister, and another couple who are friends of ours that they're all their families overseas. So we call them the orphans. They come and have Christmas with us, which is great. So I was demonstrating ChatGPT talk using Santa's voice to one of the guys, and we were just having a bit of fun with it. Meanwhile, his wife is sitting there and she's picked up whatever the napkins we've got. These are nice red cloth napkins. And they've got the word Noel stitched together, N-O-L-E, with the weird looking dots above the O or the E. And she keeps saying, who's Noel? What's the story here? And we all had a laugh at her and said, have you not heard of the song The First Noel? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I'm chatting to her husband, and then I show her, hey, do you want to talk to Santa? She starts jabbering away to Santa. We just lost it when she said this. She said, Santa, is Noel your gay friend? Just fell on the floor laughing, and ChatGPT sadly didn't quite take the bait, but it didn't say yes. So that was my Christmas Day funny caused by AI. But I have to say I did quite enjoy the Santa voice. It was quite fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It just the only thing that annoyed me with the Santa one is that it felt the need to start every answer with ho 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 or whatever it was. I was like, I can't. The first one or two is fine, and then I was like, Santa man, you got to get to the answer. Okay, I can't take before every single answer. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Go ahead, Beth.
So just quick lightning round, I'm thinking. So if you haven't seen the McDonald's story, and I did not until I was prepping for this, in June 2024, they scrapped their AI drive-through experiment after basically it showed a repeatedly misunderstanding and frustrating customers. But what it actually was there were like videos, TikTok videos that went viral about people begging them not to add chicken McNuggets to the orders. And like it just went off the rails about that. Another story that I thought was really fun is Ethan Malick's garlic bread conversation with Claude. Again, if you don't know that, look it up, because he's just it's one of those things of like, what will the AI do when it is confronted with repeated roadblocks, right?
Right.
So
Real quick, Beth, was that the one where Claude at the end of it basically just breaks down, and it's not breaks down, but it kind of just submits to it and goes like, garlic bread indeed. Like it's like, because Ethan just keeps saying like, no, more garlic bread, like more, give me more garlic bread. And Claude pontificates and tries to go over here and go over there. And at the end, it's like, garlic bread indeed. It was a funny translation.
right. Not a question, not a recipe, not a like all of it. And yes, Claude just on its own is like it starts to write its own stage directions. Sigh, right?
It was very good. Yeah, that to me is the genius of Claude over other models. I just don't think you get those kind of answers from other models. I could be wrong, but that's what makes Claude special to me is when if you go read that garlic bread transcript, you're like, Claude's a little different, in a good way.
And I would say another of my favorite Daily AI show moments was the collective vocal stim that we all did about Robovan, Robovin, Robo.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That and how many times have I tripped up Elon Musk and Ethan Malik? Like it's like I have PTSD over it, so I have to slow down every single time. And if you just watch the show, you'll just see me pause for a half second and go, say the right one, Brian. Say the bit. Don't mix their names up together, because I think I want to say Elon Malik or Ethan Musk. And see, I shouldn't even do it because I'm going to get it back on my head again. And 2025 is going to be a repeat of this. But yeah.
Okay, 40 seconds till New Year's in Perth.
Is that what we're up to? All right. Eran, it's your show. You're on mute, Eran.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
So we gotta have a better clock than that. Can we get like a celebration clock?
Seconds left. I don't think it matters. It goes.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes.
10, 9,
8. 1.
Happy New Year. And to all our fine folks over in Perth, Australia.
2025.
Happy New Year We're coming for the future of next year. And I think that's probably a great place to end this. Justice, ever remember Y2K? Yes, I do.
I was in that industry.
Yeah, Ybor City in college, waiting to go to the Georgia game. We were going to be in the Outback Bowl the next day. And what I really remember about Y2K, Justin, was having a little too much fun in Ybor City. And then we were all a little hungover the next day going to go to the game. And it was unusually hot. And we were just baking in the stadium. And it was just college kids falling out left and right. That's what I remember about January 1st of 2000 was just people falling out left and right because they couldn't handle the heat and they were not hydrated enough. So yeah, that's funny. All right, well, listen, we're going to wrap that up. It's already 2025 for Eran. The rest of us will get there depending on where we are around the world. But wherever you're joining us from, I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve, a safe New Year's Eve, a wonderful New Year's Day. And we will be back tomorrow to celebrate New Year's with everybody, 10 a.m. Eastern once again. For the rest of the week and every week thereafter, Monday through Friday. So come back and join us. If you got nothing else going on, come hang out with us. We got a really cool topic we're going to talk about the news. Jyunmi will be hosting, and we're going to be obviously talking about DeepSeek V3 that Andy was just mentioning. That'll be on the show as well. So come back and join us tomorrow and the rest of the week. Until then, Happy New Year, everybody, from everybody here at the Daily AI Show, the DOS crew, the Daily AI Show crew. And we will see you in the new year, except for Eran, who it'll just be the next.
Yeah.
See y'all.